In the name of Allah, the most compassionate, the most merciful, and may the peace and blessings of Allah be upon His last and beloved Messenger Muhammad, and may the peace and blessings of Allah be upon you all. The title of this video is The Cure for Mental Disturbances from the Quran in one diagram. So as you can see, brothers and sisters, on the screen, I prepared this flow diagram with the guidance of Allah, God Almighty, that will show how to deduce the diagnosis, meaning knowing the cause of mental disturbances and how to be cured from them from the guidance of the Quran. So let's start. Now the first step in curing any disturbance or any illness, we need to know the symptoms. So the symptoms of mental disturbances can be summarized by a person hearing thoughts in his head as if he's thinking to himself with these ideas, and they contain the following thoughts, these ideas. Look at here, this yellow rectangle. A person hearing ideas in his mind telling him that he's unclean and that he should repeat washing many times over. This is a sample of the ideas that cause people mental disturbances. Also, a person hearing ideas in his mind telling him to hurt others by insults, beating, and killing. Ideas telling a person that he would fail and that he is nothing. Ideas, a person here in his mind telling him that this life is not worth living and that he should end his life by committing suicide. This is one type of ideas, and all of these ideas can be classified under the category of harm, i.e. a person hurting himself and others. This is one sample of ideas causing people mental disturbances. Now coming to this center kind of rectangle, also another type of ideas causing people mental disturbances, imaginations coming to a person portraying that he's performing perverted sexual acts, ideas making adultery lawful to a person, ideas telling a person rude words and encouraging him to say them, ideas a person hears in his mind telling him to expose himself and giving him arguments to do that, and ideas encouraging a husband or a wife to cheat on each other. Now these kind of ideas can be classified under the category of sin, ideas of sin. Now the other type of ideas causing people mental disturbances, ideas telling a person that Allah God has a son, like Christianity, ideas telling a person that the Creator has partners and that each partner is responsible for a certain quality, like love, bounty, etc., like the Hindus, ideas telling a person wrong information about the Creator and His qualities, hearing abusive words directed towards Allah God, His Messenger Muhammad, and the Noble Quran, ideas convincing a person that a materialistic object like a rock or a piece of fabric has the ability to hurt or benefit him or her. Now all of these ideas can be classified under the category of saying about Allah God what you have no knowledge of. So brothers and sisters, these are the types of ideas causing people mental disturbances. Now if you go to the Quran, Allah God Almighty teaches us the cause for all of the above ideas by reflecting upon verses 168 and 169 of chapter 2 of the Quran. The translation is the following. O people, eat of that which is lawful and good on the earth, and follow not the footsteps of Satan. Verily, he is to you an open enemy. He, i.e. Satan, commands you what is harmful, sinful, and to say about Allah what you have no knowledge of. So, if we look at these kind of ideas that Allah God Almighty teaches us that Satan whispers to a person with, so Allah teaches us that Satan is the reason why a person hears ideas of harm, lust, and blasphemy in his mind. And so that's the diagnosis, that the cause of mental disturbance is Satan, that he whispers to us ideas of harm, lust, and blasphemy. So the question now arises as to how Satan affects people. The only book on the face of the earth which answers this is the Quran. So the answer to this question can be known by pondering upon the following verses of the Quran. The first verse to ponder upon, which is verse number 16 of chapter 50 of the Quran, which reads, "And indeed Allah God has created man, and He knows what His own self whispers to him, and Allah God is nearer to him than his jugular vein." So it can be concluded from this Quranic verse that each person has a voice of oneself, which is the same voice a person speaks with and hears in his head when he's thinking quietly to himself. The other verse to ponder upon, which is verse number 38 of chapter 4 of the Quran, which reads, "And those who spend of their substance to be seen of men, and believe not in Allah God and the last day, and whoever takes Satan as a companion, then what a dreadful companion he has." So it can be concluded from this Quranic verse that every person has a companion devil, i.e. a devil assigned to him at birth and stays with him till death. So we learn so far from the Quran that each of us has a voice of oneself, and that's the voice you hear in your mind when you are thinking quietly to yourself, and that there is a companion devil which is assigned to you at birth and stays with you till death. And the manner by which this companion devil affects a person can be known by pondering upon the following Quranic verses. The first verse, which is verse number 64 of chapter 17 of the Quran, which reads, "And before them gradually, those whom you can among them with your voice, make assault of them with your imaginations and your induced feelings, mutually share with them wealth and children, and make promises to them, but Satan promises them nothing but deceit." So it can be concluded from this Quranic verse that the companion devil of a person agitates and tricks you with his voice. To understand this voice, we need to go to verse number 4 of chapter 114 of the Quran, which reads, "And from the evil of the whisperer who hides." So we can learn from this verse that the companion devil of a person whispers to him with his voice and at the same time hides from him, i.e. tries not to make a person sense the presence of this companion devil. So the only way for this to be accomplished, that your companion devil can talk to you and at the same time hide from you, is if the companion devil of a person matches his voice to the person's own voice, i.e. the voice a person talks and thinks to himself with, thereby matching the language, tone, speed and style. Thus you hear a voice in your head telling you ideas of harm, lust and blasphemy, and you think that yourself is telling you this because the voice is identical, while in fact it's your companion devil. So it can be concluded that your companion devil, Satan, is the sole reason for mental disturbances, and the mechanism that he matches his voice, the one you hear in your mind when you're thinking quietly to yourself, and you hear ideas of harm, lust, and blasphemy, and you think that yourself is telling you this, and you are so clever to think in that way, but actually it's your companion devil. Now that's the diagnosis. Now what's the cure? Also, in the Quran we can find the cure. You can see, that, brothers and sisters, that the Quran is the only book that you need. It contains the knowledge of everything. So the cure for the whispers of Satan, which cause mental disturbances, can be known by pondering upon the following two verses of the Quran. Verse number 200 of chapter 7 of the Quran, which reads, "And if an evil whisper comes to you from Satan, then seek refuge with Allah God. Verily, He is all-hearer, all-knower." This is the first step in the cure, where Allah God teaches us that when a person hears an idea from his companion devil, that he should seek refuge with Allah God, which means that you should remember the guidance of Allah God in this regard, and be certain that the idea you just experienced in your mind, you just heard in your mind, containing ideas of harm, lust and blasphemy, is not from yourself, but from your companion devil, and that Allah God will not judge you for hearing the thought, but will judge you whether you believe it and carry it out or not. The second step in the cure, verse number 168 of chapter 2 of the Quran, which reads, "O people, eat of that which is lawful and good on the earth, and follow not the footsteps of Satan. Verily, he is to you an open enemy." So here Allah Almighty teaches us also that a person should not follow the steps of Satan. i.e., that he should not carry out the ideas he hears from his companion devil, and that he should not go into a vicious cycle of thinking about them, since they are all lies, and that a person should think about what he wants to think about and not the ideas of his companion devil, meaning not to believe the ideas whispered to you from Satan, nor carry them out. So we see, brothers and sisters, in this flow diagram, from the guidance of the Quran, I presented the diagnosis and cure for mental disturbances, and this kind of knowledge is far superior to what people now know nowadays, because they cannot cure mental disturbances, but from the Quran we can find a complete cure. And may the peace and blessings of Allah be upon you all.